people that have had experiences with orbs and photos of orbs and all of that kind of thing for like years in the New Age movement. Never really thought much about it. I knew that I had contact with orbs when I was, very young, but it was never like we were not orb hunters. Gotta find the orbs. No, we were just not into that. We were taught about what this orbing was about by actually learning about our anatomy and learning how this was a part of our ascension structure. And then they gave us this very interesting set of strange language words that was called the Elemental Orb Command Call. And I'm trying to remember that one. I don't use it a lot because they're there anyway. Yeah. I'm getting it in stereo and syncopation. It's the first syllable that I always... Oh no, we're going way too far. Anyway, the story of the orbs was they gave us this new little technique to use out on the beach, and the first one was at St. Kitts, where we went to the St. Kitts British Virgin Islands to do a certain site work at a gate site there. And we used the technique, which we will play with that tomorrow too, if you'd like. As I haven't remembered, I actually had, there's a lot of things I don't have memorized. I only have memorized the sequence that I use, like at night and in the morning, just to keep my fields where I need to, because I'm supposed to memorize so much other datum when it comes in to give these workshops. Anything else I can read from a book or like a songbook, I just keep it there because I honestly don't feel like I have any brain cells left when it comes to memory storage. So there's a lot of people in the group who have that extra memory storage because they're not trying to remember all the facts, and they actually have memorized some of these and they can use them and build quantum with them. Well, we were really surprised because in Kitts, when we first used them, it was like right around sunset, I think, we started the, it was a Chandra shield, which is a group geometric shield where we're running energy, and we used the new orb call, and had a nice time, a nice meditation. I think we had a journey that, that was part of that. And then people started just taking pictures when we got up, not because we asked them to bring cameras. Some people had brought their cameras, and they were noticing they were getting orbs in it. And it was like, oh, cool. So then we did another one a couple nights later, it might have been the next night, and used the orb call again. And again, more people brought their cameras this time because they realized people were getting photos of orbs. And I was thinking, oh, isn't that neat? Kind of like a little gift from the beloveds, like, a little bit of physical evidence. That's nice. Then we did one in Sarasota when we did the first Sarasota workshop, and that was, what date was that? 2009? April? April 2009? Yeah, April of 2009. And we called that one Orb Fest 3. We had Orb Fest 1 and 2, where what we got were a bunch of photographs. I didn't even take any at St. Kitts. I didn't have my camera with me, and I was too busy doing other stuff like running the meditations live and things. But other people, without being talked to about this or anything, were getting pictures of these orbs. People that never thought about worrying about getting pictures of orbs were like, whoa, look at this, I got orbs, got orbs. And it was like, got orbs, right? So we started to collect an orb archive, a library of photos, with the names, or at least like an indication if they didn't want their full names on them, of who submitted what pictures. We'd only archive what pictures were taken at workshops. So so they were just pictures taken live there. It would reduce the chances of anybody faking stuff or photoshopping them or whatever. And they were only in context of the workshops, the group workshops that we were doing. And we started just collecting them. And we've gotten lots. I don't know how many are in there at this point. What? Okay, we start now? Okay. The group workshops that we were doing. And we started just collecting them. And we've gotten lots. I don't know how many are in there at this point. What? Okay, we start now? Okay. What? Yeah, okay, you can start them. So I just wanted to show you these before, we'll talk a bit more about the technicals. But these are some of the photos we were getting. This is when we were doing one of the drum circle stands, Chandras, and they were using the orb calls and the whole bit. And there's a whole bunch of these. It wasn't just like one or two. There's strings of them. And what's funny about them, it's not just one person out there with a camera photographing these. These were multiple cameras for multiple individuals. Some of them, it was their first workshop, and they were getting orbs, and people still are getting orbs. Sometimes we get them inside, but not in the concentrations that we've been able to when we're generating energy outside. So I just wanted to, especially the people that are new to the work, to see that we're getting some interesting phenomena. It's not the focus of the work, but it's going to become more important because we've learned a lot of things about the orbs. Aren't they cool? I was like, oh, they're so pretty. Hi, guys. Right. And the funny thing is, some people, you can get a little feel that they're present, but you usually can't see them with your eyes. They only show up on the film, which is interesting. And they only show up on certain film. You can have 3 people standing next to each other pointing in the exact same space. Depending on what's activated and in which person's field, it will depend on whether they get the photos of the orbs or not. Yeah. But we've got, quite a lot of them. This was the biggest one where we just had orb blizzard. We've learned to refer to them as, they're the blizzard kind. The blizzard ones have to do with elemental command. They're actually elemental orb flows, where the larger ones are more likely to be visiting. Like, somebody going into Jade body from another place, projecting down and visiting, where the ones that look like snow, they're conscious too, but they have to do with literally the elemental kingdom and like elements, like you see on your periodic table of elements, the consciousness of them coming in flow. And we're working with orb flows, the elemental orb flows, for healing on the planetary level. But I just wanted to let you see some of these. We haven't published them or anything yet. And they're from, a bunch of different people that were at the workshops. That was in St. Kitts, that one. St. Kitts. I hope you guys can see. Can you see it all over there? I'm hoping you can, because these are worth seeing. Even if you wanted to come and stand in the back, you're welcome to do that. But at some point, this I know is going to have to do. Yeah, there's another one. And so you can see the people. So you have background and stuff that shows you, context. And I was amazed. I was really thrilled because it was at this one that I did bring my camera. And finally, after I was done with the job part, where I'm, doing the meditation and running the meditation on the, on the headsets, I decided, okay, I'll take some. And I was so excited. I got my first orb pictures ever. And there were a lot of the elemental ones with the snow orbs. Yeah. But everybody's been getting tons of pictures, except Ash. So I finally got I got a whole series of them. Where's the one in there? Yeah, there's there. See, the ones inside tend to be more localized, like individuals with somebody hanging with them, kind of thing. Try to get out of the way if I'm on the way over there for people. Yeah, and there's so many of them. I think I counted, I think we printed out at least 75 of them, and they were just from 3 events. They weren't and then none of them are from people's sending stuff in from home or anything. 300 or 400 now, I think they said that, Isan said we've got, about that? Yeah, 300 or 400. There was one, I remember, it was an indoor one that, and this was after they talked to us about the Christ Star vehicle that is shaped kind of like diamond-like. There's actually a photo inside of an orb, a colored orb, that was shaped like a Christ Star vehicle, which was really cool. I don't know if that's in this series or not. I have a printout copy of it somewhere. I don't think I've seen all of these. I've seen some. Oh, I got somebody up over our heads there. Let me see. I'm going to watch these too, actually. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah. So is that the end of them? No? Or we still have more? Oh, that's the sequence? Yeah. Yeah. But just when you look at these, more closely, you can see the structure of the rings. When we talked about the Rasha bodies with the 15 Jaleesic ring structures, the rings and spans, some of these you can see the structures of the Rasha structures inside of them and the auric level structures. So it was quite an amazing demonstration for us of the things that we had been being taught for quite a while about anatomy, about our own ability to go into orb. All of a sudden we were getting demonstrations by using the specific tones that would actually call them in. And what calls them in is, first of all, they can choose to come if they want to, but there are certain aspects of the planetary grids that need to be opened, like doorways that need to be opened. They're gates of some sort. They don't have to be just the, like the 12 planetary stargates or anything. But it opens certain passages into the shield So we were like a traveling gate. When we get together and we do these energetic, exercises, the shield itself that the group forms is like a traveling gate. Wherever you put it, it has the potential to open up an interface into the ascension chambers so the guardian visitors can come and visit. So it's a safe way to begin working with orbs. I do believe the book that we're hoping will come out now probably around January, because they've given me basically just an outline, and they're going to transmit the new book, the 2012 Life After Earth, Orb Whisperers and the Silver Seed Awakening. Orbs are going to become, I think, more significant in contact, and I'm not sure what they mean with that yet, but this was just like a little sampling of some of the things we have to look forward to. Because sometimes when orbs fully come in, they could actually expand out, get as big as you are, or bigger, and then they kind of rotate, and I've seen them do this, and turn into a pillar. Instead, like they kind of compact and go pillar shape, and then that pillar shape kind of goes ding, 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 does this weird thing, kind of like stacking effect, and it materializes into a being. I've had experiences like that in my younger days with beings that popped in like that, where they come in as a tiny little orb, all of a sudden, bang, zoom, real fast, pillar's there, and pillar turns into being that's translucent. And so I've had contact like that before, so I know it's possible. So in the book, I think they're going to be giving techniques as far as how to engage not only your own ability to orb project, but also how to begin communication with some of the orb groups that are, and the orb groups, they look like orbs here because they're going into orb to come and visit us, just like we've been taught to use techniques to orb ourselves and project ourselves to go visit them. But you're dealing with beings who have their own mostly hominid structure, just like we have hominid structure. And it's the first level of direct communication that we're actually getting photography of. There's a lot of people who've been getting pictures of orbs for lots of years. And some of them are fakes, because some people do that, just like some people fake crop circles. Some crop circles aren't fake. These we had no reason to fake. It was just a surprise, and anybody at these workshops can tell you that's what was happening. It's like, whoa, all of a sudden people are running around with cameras going, look, I got orbs. Right? So just wanted to share that with you, especially with the people. I don't think we've ever put them up this way, have we? For the main group? Only once? Once before. Yeah, so it's nice for everybody to see them. I know, I've always wondered that too. Why can't we see them with our eyes, but the camera can see them? I haven't got the answer fully to that. There's a bit of technicals, and it has to do with light bending and the frequency of the eyes themselves and what they're able to pick up. But anyway, so I just wanted to share with you some of the things that it means to be part of our workshops. I'm glad that everybody that's been coming for a long time is still here, and we're very glad to have the people. It's your first workshop. We hope you enjoy it and decide you found a bit of spiritual family. So see you tomorrow, 10 p.m. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your patience, and for people who it's your first workshop, thank you doubly for your patience, because you haven't got used to this yet. I'm glad it looks like most people survived and are still here, because, well, we just have a few graphs to go through tonight. I think like 49, and one of the things that they wanted me to do before they even gave me sequence was to, let me see if I can find the paper copy of it. Because we have to have things, especially when there's this many people, that's huge printing runs at Kinko's. We had to get this 36-page thing done. So that will be in your handbook, and that has to go out early in the morning. And this little thingy is the Contemporary Drama GAMCO Mission Upgrades and Freedom Teachings Chronology, 1998 to 2010, with the density accretion cycles, leap years, etc. Now, it also has definitions for all of the things that are the most important things in the 12 Tribes classes, and also in the Sliders classes to date. So it doesn't have the full analysis going all the way back to 1999 of workshop content, but I think volume is 2 up to the beginning of 2007, which is pretty good. By tomorrow, they're probably going to show me which sets of techniques are going to be needed for the beginner's leap linking host. So that's why they wanted this, and they also wanted, it's a very good, really quick primer for people who have forgotten because they've been with us so long, and also for people who are just coming on board. Some of the terms that are used, what they refer to, what they mean, especially when we get into things like the Aquiline Sun Buffer Field. What is that? You know, those kind of things. So there's enough definition in there where it'll give you the idea of what we're talking about. Then once we got finished with that, they wanted us to go on to program for tonight. Now it's really funny, because I was thinking when they had said that they wanted to let Sliders 8 be open to, to newcomers if they wanted to come in, like even from the Camelot project, or Project Camelot interviews and things. And I was thinking, oh boy, okay, but how are we going to do this? Because you're going to have one group of people that knows hardly anything at all about the work or the words or anything. Then you're going to have another group of people that are really, really up on what it means, so they know what the information is, why it's important, and the significance of it. What's really interesting is when they've showed me what we are going to be doing through this workshop period, it's an amazing blend wave, and we've talked about blend wave before, the CRIST blend wave, where the way they want to work the program is it will bring the people that are just coming in right up into the level where they can take the activations with us and understand enough about what that means, so they can perhaps get the significance. Because the significance, I think, will probably be mostly understood and most felt by the people who have been with us for quite a while. So it's not like just everything's catered to the beginners, program here. There's something amazing that is happening with this particular program. It's something we've been waiting for, actually working toward all along, and that's why they had it on a security clearance. So it's a celebration for the old timers that have been around for a long time and have been working really hard with the activations and all of that, and with the grid work. And it's also nice that the newcomers can come in and join us in that celebration with at least a rudimentary understanding of the potential significance of what it means. And even if you don't fully grasp the whole thing of what it means, you will be able to participate in the techniques and the activations, if you choose. And that will allow you to have a level of protection in your field that will be very, very new to you. And what's nice about the way they are working this program is before, as we progressively worked with the Christic frequencies going higher, higher, and higher in the dimensional spectra, if people would come in new at certain levels, it could give them a bit of problem if they had field problems. If they had, say if they had something hanging in their fields that was on the FA team and they didn't know it, then they'd start running Christic techniques, and there would be a clash, or literally a clash of interest between the thing in the field that was trying to control the person and that they didn't know was there, and the Christic frequencies the person was consciously choosing to bring in. What is really nice about the frequency spectra that we are able to finally open now is that won't happen. If there are people that have come in that might not realize they have things in their field that they would prefer not there if they were given a choice, there won't be the clash of frequencies in regard to those, because there is a certain level of the Christic frequency spectra that goes beyond just the Christic, and it accompanies, it includes everything. So it can harmonize with the worst of an FA frequency just as much as it can harmonize with the highest of a Christic frequency. And this is a new place, a new space that we've been progressively, pardon me, I'm just a little bit tired, progressively working up the dimensional spectrum until we could get to. And I'll start with the Mylars first, because there's a whole bunch of new words again. And just remember, the people that are new, when you see funny words, and we've been working with words all along, we need a dictionary. Seriously, we have one, thanks to a person in the group that actually made a dictionary, and we need to keep adding to it. There are certain sound and vibrational encryptions, mathematical encoding, underneath the sounds of words, and that is why they use the sacred languages that literally correspond with the vibrations of the frequencies that we are trying to bring in. So in the last workshop, Slider 7, we got introduced to the lands of Wa, as they call them, W-H-A, the Wa sounds. Now, by the time we get through to where the activations come in for this workshop, the new people will at least have a rudimentary understanding of what the heck is the lands of Wa, right, and whatever, right? Because now, right, because now we're going to graduate to the lands of and find out what they are. Right? I finally got at least a rudimentary itinerary of things we are going to be covering in this workshop. All right? These are some of the things that are going to occur. Now, this is what they're calling it. We know it's Sliders 8, Preparing the Body for Slide, the Advanced Level. All right? But the title is Awake, Aware, and Alive in the Lands of Ah. The Sea of Ah, eternal stream of, and pardon me if I have to slow these down, because all these ayayas and ayezas and all that stuff, they're all, I have to really look at them or I get tongue twisted. So we've got the Sea of Aya, the eternal stream of ayaye, no, ayaye, right. Yeah, see, when you see these words, by the way, new people, you'll see capitals in certain places. You'll see these little accent marks, which mean that's where you stress the syllable, right? If you see like capital A, it means usually A, unless it's at the beginning of something that just like, you know, it's a title of it. Sometimes it's a small A sound at the beginning or a small sound at the beginning, even if it's a capital letter. But there's a trick to reading these things that you get used to after a while, as far as they're phonetic, pretty much. They're pretty much, you know, phonetically written to carry the sound tones that the beloveds are saying. The next thing is the covenant of Ayaru and the eternal dream fields of the One. This is what they're titling this workshop. And I'm going, oh, wow, okay, what's that about, right? So we do know this from, and this information corresponds with the handout you will get that traces the mugs, which are the mission upgrades that we have had to progressively go through since the beginning of the work, right? And the reason we had to go through those was because of what was unfolding in the planetary drama in relation to the FA groups and what they were doing with the grids and what they were doing in relation to what was called the beast machine implants in the planetary grids, which are directly a part of what we've even discussed in the Camelot project interview, was the Atlantean Death Star Merkaba field planetary level. So all of these things are connected. So when you see things like this, mugs mean mission upgrade number. We are on mission upgrade number 46 in this workshop. Yeah, and that's since 2000, right? We started in 2000. In this workshop, we are going to, and we'll learn more about this one tomorrow, what's called the Covenant of Ayaru. This is also tracking, when we go back to listing the mugs, the Green Dragon's Albignon. This is Albignon 8, the eighth dispensation of the Green Dragon's Treaty of Albignon assistance, that in return for the assistance that they had petitioned for in relation to, because they're an FA group and they were actually competing with the Red-White Dragons and they were losing terribly and they were going to get pretty much decimated. So they came crawling back after breaking the Treaty of Altair way back in 2000 and asked for the Beloved's protection and assistance. And in return, the Beloved said, yes, we will, but you need to, you know, hand over portions of your grids or we can't help you at all. So they're progressively handing over certain aspects to Christic control, which means they're letting parts of the Metatronic grids on the planet run what's called the Christ blend wave, where you can blend a Christic frequency wave into the waveforms that are being generated through the Metatronic frequencies. So this is the eighth handover, the eighth assistance that they are giving. When we get to the Mayan cruise, that is the ninth. So these two, what we're going to be doing with the people who are going to the Biosphere Tour, they're going to be doing the first part of what finishes up on the cruise, and that is the eighth and ninth handovers of grids, which has to do with what's called the Metatronic Broadcasting System. All right, just like you have like broadcasting systems for radios and TV. Well, there are Metatronic broadcasting systems on the planet, and right now we are the Green Dragons are allowing us to interface with those in order to actually send the Krish protection wave through with the Metatronic wave. So anybody that has Krishtic, coding in their DNA will be able to pick up the Christic frequencies also, so they won't just get dragged fully into Metatronic activations after December of 2012 when the planetary Death Star Merkaba begins to activate to a 55. It's not going to go full 55, but it will activate to a low 55. So anyway, and if that makes no sense to you guys that are new, don't worry about it. Eventually it will. But I'm kind of like talking to the people who know all this stuff and the people who don't simultaneously. So there'll be parts when I'm talking directly, more so to the people who are not familiar, and the people who are will realize I'm doing that, and vice versa. So if you feel like you're getting totally lost, people that are new, just let that be okay. Know I'm basically aiming that at the other part of the audience that knows all the technicals. So don't worry about it. If you ever want to find out, the technicals are there in amazing detail, actually. The detail that this work has been progressively given to us in just amazes me. And if it wasn't for that, I might have doubted myself in relation to it or any of that. But when you see the detail in this paradigm and how amazingly huge it is, it's just a no-brainer. There is nothing like it on the planet. And I'm just very grateful, and I hope that that it's here, and a lot of people that have come to understand it are. I hope the people that are new will find it something that is freeing for them as well. So anyway, we'll get back to this. Now, what is occurring now, because of the activations that have been going on before, and this is something that the new people will be able to have a benefit from, but it's something that the people who've been with us for a while have been progressively working toward. We are going to have a six-dimensional MetNet freeze immunity activating as of the end of this workshop period, which means all the activations we were doing before that had to do with the mirror ball fields and all of that will be complete. And finally, we will have this six-dimensional MetNet freeze immunity, which means the Metatronic code cannot activate any further in your body than it already had before. All right? Yeah. And it also means that 4-month purge cycle is done. Yeah. I don't know what it was like for any of you, but I know what it was like for us, and I wouldn't want to go there again. Okay, so we'll be talking more about those technical things more in tomorrow's session, or tomorrow, whenever, today's session, this evening's session, because it's already Sunday, right? So the next session, we will be dealing more with just covering that. It's also explained more, quite clearly in the, especially for people who know the terminology, in the handout. As long as Kinko's cooperates, that you will get those 36 pages. It does explain what they were and all of that. So I might not have to go over it verbally in the workshop. It's there for the reading. But what this allows for is something new that is called enabling initiation of building the dream fields of the One. And it was really fun. When they started to just give me pieces of the transmission, they started to say to me, "If you build it, they will come." Right? Like the Field of Dreams, right, movie. And I'm thinking, what, baseball fields? And they're saying, not exactly. So we're going to find out more about that. We'll probably touch on it a bit tonight. We'll probably learn more specifics about the dream fields of the One, and when we go into the next session's information. This is GA Upstep 11. All right, now upsteps, for the people who might not know, are when we have a council upstep, where, say, if you're working with a council from, I'll just use simple analogy. These aren't the council, the dimensional numbers, but just say if you were working before with a council from D2, you'd upstep to the next council that knows more and has more frequency, et cetera, that would be, say, on D3. et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the way up the scale. But the scale is much more than just 15 dimensions. It goes into Vekas, Ekas, Vekas, Akashas, Akasha Ayas, et cetera, et cetera. And those are something you probably have no idea what they are unless you maybe had taken the module that was offered, which I hope you did, because it will make it easier to understand. But we'll cover that briefly as we move through to get to the end place where we need to get to tonight, which is all of us together having an understanding of what is the Aya exactly, right? And the other words that go with it. So we will find that out by the end of the graph sequence. Now, the up step here is we're going to the Crystal River Eternal Councils of Ayaru Cosmea, of the Cosmic Christ Star Master Councils. Now, this is going to have something to do with graphs that we're going to get tomorrow that have to do with showing, we've already, the people who've worked with us for a long time, already understand the basics of cosmic structure and what a cosmic matrix looks like. Well, there's something else that's even larger that has numerous ones of those in it that is called a cosmea. And of the cosmea level is just like out of your own matrix, going out of the matrix, and up into the larger framework in which that matrix exists. And we'll be learning more about that, but we will be beginning to bring in the frequencies from those levels of existence, reality, consciousness, etc. There's 2 activations that we will be doing before we leave this morning. Before we leave, it's probably going to be one of those break up workshop and go to breakfast kind. But there are 2 transmissions coming in for those who would like to participate in them that have to do with the first parts of activating this particularly high level of frequency in your own fields. And it is this particular level that has the ability to harmonize with everything, be it FA or Christic. So we will learn a bit more about what is that, what does it have to do with the ayahs and all of that. Let's see. We are going to get Aquafarian Shield, that's our shield, another upgrade from what we had the last time. In Slider 7, we got an upgrade on Shield 2, which means for the people who aren't familiar with this, when we get an Aquafarian Shield upgrade, it means the group shield actually gets an infusion of frequencies from the beloveds, from the next level, whatever the next level up is, that begins the activation in the shield and in your personal shields and biofields of those next level of frequencies. And it has to do with also what councils will start coming online with you or guiding you and working with you. And whenever we do an upstep or upgrade, it's not as if we get rid of the councils that were below. It's we add one above them, and we have the whole stream of frequency open between all of the councils. So every council, from the ones we started with, which were the like Elohai Elohim, when we first started getting the information, progressively, the councils that are above them came online, and the ones above them came online. So this is what it means when we get a shield upgrade. They're turning on the codes in the Aquafarian Shield, which means the persons attached to the Aquafarian Shield will begin the process of getting those codes turned on in their DNA and their biofields. So they will be able to start a communicative relationship, or at least a subtle relationship. If you don't have the communication open yet, you will know that they are there and they can hear you and assist you if you require, if you desire that assistance. Now, what we did last time was we did an upgrade to the Tri-Universal, and that means 3 Akasha matrices, Tri-Universal Mashayahana Master Councils of the Crystal River Host, which were the Wayeyas Adashi Adept Councils. Now, Adashi Adepts are the ones who have also already gone through the Christ Star transition into full eternal life Christed bodies, where they don't die anymore or any of that kind of thing. They don't bardo. They're in those cycles that we refer to as the Adashi return cycles. And we are still in the end cycle, the Kali Yuga cycle of the expansion going out from source cycles. And at the end of the Kali Yuga cycle, there is a turnaround that is supposed to happen to bring you back into the Adashi return cycles, where you progressively still expand, but expand back inward to source. So you go back into where you came from, which is the God source consciousness field. So anyway, this was our last shield upgrade, where these codes were turned on so we could open communicative relationships with these councils. And now we are going to be invited And this is funny because I have to talk with the 3 apprentices who have been identified since 2006 and have been working with us quietly. They have reached a point of what you could call graduation, because there's a period of life tests that they need to go through that they don't know they're going through, that just are part of the contracts. And when they've reached a certain level of where the beloveds feel, that they have sufficiently, passed those tests where they can hold the next level of frequency, then there's supposed to be a little kind of swearing-in ceremony where they're, asked again if they want to hold it. I have to talk to them personally first to see if they want to do that privately or if they would prefer to have their identities known, to the group. That's up to them. But we're all being invited to become apprentices, to have apprenticeship commissions. Now, whatever level of minister you have already, that is still yours. As far as our membership in the Mashayahana councils, that is still ours. We're being invited as apprentices to these councils, which are the councils of the Ayaru Cosmea. Pronounce these things, Ayaru Cosmea, and they are the ones of the cosmic Christ, our Master councils, that are beyond and out of the matrix. So that is a huge honor, and just the gratitude level that I felt when that came through. I was very excited for us all. And what's really nice is that isn't something that the people that are new are being excluded from. If they would like to be a part of that, they are welcome to be a part of that, even though they haven't gone through yet the other layers of activation in the biofields and the other clearing layers. It will assist in that process and expediting that process if they choose to. If the people who are new don't want to because they're not sure about it yet or anything, that's fine too. You don't have to, and the activations will only come to you and activate within you if you give conscious permission. So it's nothing that you have to worry about. But for us, for the people who've been working really, really hard for a lot of years with this is really exciting. It's like finally crossing the finish line, where there has to be an end to the race somewhere, where you just kind of go, I'm home, yeah, yeah. Excuse me. Okay, so these are the basic things. Probably by the time this workshop is over, this whole page could be filled with things that are going to occur and that we're going to learn. But this is the basics for now that they'd like to understand that we're going to move through. Next one, please. And this is just a little teaser, because this is going to actually is page 41 in the graph series. But I just want for the people, especially for the people who are sliders 8, they've already done the other sliders bit before. These are some of the things we're going to learn about, which is, okay, they're calling them the infinite eternal lands of Ah. Right? All right. One, we're going to learn about something called the Aya, equals the Sea of Dreams. The living, infinite, eternal, God source consciousness field equals the unutterable one. It actually, there is no word for it. There is not a name of God. God has many names and no names. It is a place that's beyond even vibration. And you would need vibration to have a name imprint, right? So this is what is called the Aya, all right? The Aya, actually, yeah, Aya. So when we heard that, and that's the word they were saying to me, that one clue they gave me for the last week or so, what the workshop was about, Aya. Aya, aha, okay, right. So Aya is actually the word used to represent the essence of the unutterable one, because there isn't a word for that massive consciousness field, living consciousness field of source. But to open the conduits of frequency where you can progressively be able to bring that level of consciousness awareness in, the Aya is the essence. So that is the encryption essence of that field, so you can use that word to begin the process of bringing those frequencies in. Now, the next thing we're going to learn about is, here we go again, Ayaye. The Ayaye, the eternal living dream stream. Dream stream. It's the Ayaye is the flowing essence of the unutterable one. So here, the Aya is that consciousness field of source. It is the encryption you can use to bring those frequencies in. It is not the name of God, because there is not one you could speak, but it is one you can feel and open into your fields using the Aya. And the Ayaye is when you go into that state and then begin to bring those frequencies in, and they begin to flow into yourself. So one is like a still sea, and the other is like a flowing river or current. So they call this the eternal living dream stream, because this is the sea of dreams. So it is the stream coming from the sea of dreams, which is the eternal life God source consciousness field. All right. So we are going to be opening this stream into our biofields during the activations that we are going through during the workshop. Number 3 is the the is the state of consciousness of embodiment of the living dream stream. Yeah, Asan set this for me. I had it in scribbles, and I was figuring, I'm never going to remember which ya is where, or ah is where. So I figure if I'm going to have a problem with it, probably most people will too. And like, what ya is on first, who's where. So, right, yeah. So Asan set this, for us quick, so we could all keep track of which is which part. We have the field itself. We have the stream of the frequencies coming from the field. We have the state of consciousness of that stream, right? Then we have the Aye. This is the embodiment of the Ayaya dream stream. Oh boy, right. We're going to get into these more so in the session 2, where there's going to be some very interesting things that we're going to do. The Ayay is the body replicate formed of the Ayaya dream stream currents. All right, dream stream currents forming a replicate of your own body as it is right now, right? That progressively engages you with the Ayaya state of consciousness associated with the dream stream, right? The body of the eternal host. You can project with it, you can meditate from within it, you can mirror from it, and the people who've been with Slider 7 know what mirroring from it means. You can orb from it, and also it will host link you now and ever if you choose, even in a bardo state, even if your body were to die. Once you have this activated in your field, you would be safe in terms of where your consciousness would go when you left your body. You would not end up stuck in the hibernation zone fields and the planes that we've talked about and those kind of things. And this is why that even though there's a lot of biofield activations that the people that are new to the work would need to catch up on if they wanted to fully walk a body through a gate, they can still, with this particular activation set, catch the host where, even if they never get to the point or they couldn't be bothered with learning all the stuff that it takes to, get the light body cleared and the spirit body cleared and all of that. They would still have the security and the safety of knowing that whenever they left, whenever their body was done being alive here, they would not have their consciousness trapped within it. And they would be able to go out to the natural God state consciousness fields through host, through the Crystal River host, but they would not become trapped. And that is huge for people who really understand what it means to get trapped in some of those fields. If you haven't had the teachings that we've done before, talking about the hibernation zone planes that are just surrounding Earth and how miserable they can be, where when a being passes out of its body, it gets stuck in those planes and it can't ascend, and it ends up either burning out its quantum of spirit energy while it is there, or it is forced into reincarnation back down in the earthly cycles until each time it has to incarnate backwards because it has less and less quantum until it burns out. So it's a huge thing to have protection, to have immunity from that occurring. Even if you go through what would be considered here natural death, there is no such thing as a natural death. But as far as even if you didn't get all of the other activations done or ever get caught up or ever even bothered, you would be able to, if you wanted to take these activations, be able to hold the host and know you would be safe when you got out. You would also be able to pass on to others through transmission, even just being in the radiance. And there's a few ways you can just pass on the opportunity for hosting and for safety to others, like your parents, your children, people you care about. You can't force it on them, but you can breathe it gently toward their fields, and if their fields want to respond and their higher consciousness wants to pick up that opportunity, you will have anchored it down in the earth realm for them. So they will be able to, their higher consciousness will be able to choose what to do with that once you have that activation. You can never give anyone else an activation level higher than what you actually are holding. So you won't be able to help clear people's light bodies until you've cleared your own. But if you get this, even coming in as a newcomer, and you pick up these frequencies, you will be able to pass on that protection to others. You'll also be able to pass it on to plants, animals, minerals, those kind of things. So it is a gift that there is a lot of work to do, a lot of people have been doing for 10 years of clearing various aspects of their anatomy so they still have the potential to physically walk through a stargate. And even some people are like, well, you know, I realize I can, I've done a lot of the activations, and the activations help you bring more of your own higher consciousness in anyway. So even if you say, you know, I'm old, and you know, personally, I'd rather just incarnate into, like, you know, the next level up body. So I don't really care if I bardo. I don't really care if I physically take myself through a gate, and I'm pretty much there myself, right? Whatever. You know, if I get my sorry butt through, fine. If I don't, at least my consciousness will go and my spirit will go. So anyway, but there is still the potential for a lot of us that do the light body clearing and all of the things that we've been working with for 10 years. Once those things are done, you still do have the potentiality of being able to go through physical transmigration through transfiguration of the atomic structure. So it is worth working for, because boy, would it be cool. I would so love to say, come on guys, let's go, leap, right? There's the portal, leap, right? And you know, come out the other side and go, wow, whoa, we did it, check it out. You know, am I solid? Right? Am I solid yet? Those kind of things, because it would be kind of like that. The experience would be something like that. But anyway, okay, so we're on, where are we? Yeah, we're on the Aya. The Aya is that body replicate. This is where you begin to take the atoms as they are right now, your structure as it is right now, and bring that dream stream into it and literally form an imprint of it with the dream stream. And this body, you can do all sorts of things with. You can, like, sit there. Once you have it activated, you can start learn to put your consciousness more in it, and say go walk across the room, or go fly on the ceiling, or you can do all sorts of things, or like go visit the beloveds in various places once you know how to get there with the echo maps and those kind of things, and the vertical maps. So it is the beginning of a fun thing. They gave me a concept to compare the Aya to. If I don't know if everybody's seen it, but that movie that came out not too long ago is called Avatar, right? Well, it's kind of like an organic process of, it would be like your avatar body, where you could switch your consciousness, but you don't have to be put in this like chamber, and you didn't have to genetically engineer your avatar body like they did in the movie. But you would be able to literally transfer your consciousness into your avatar body and begin to experience the worlds that were frequency compatible with that, which means you would be able to travel farther, faster, even while your physical body was still trying to go through the healings and the clearings needed to get it to the point where it could physically go. So there's a lot of fun that we can begin to have once we begin to activate this. I don't know if they'll teach us how to have fun with it yet, but what we're going to be doing is, in this process, tomorrow I believe we're going to be doing creating the Aya. And then there's other thing they said. They said it's called the orbs of Aya, orbs of the embodied Aya dream state, right? So orbs of this, which is the embodiment of that, right? They haven't told me about what the orbs of this are. We've already been going into Jade body orb for projection and those kind of things. The people have been working with this for a while. So this is another level of orbing that also involves this body replicate of you in the size, I think in the size that you are. Maybe it's bigger, I don't know, they didn't tell me yet. But anyway, we're going to be learning about this. And this has to do with, we're going to learn about something. We're actually going to assist the beloveds in anchoring it and opening it. It's called the womb of creation in the sphere of Amenti in Earth's core, to allow them to incarnate here. And there's been a lot of problems with the sphere of Amenti, and in, what was it, last year's, 2009's, yeah, Ireland workshop. It became, a part of it became what was called the sphere of destiny, which was a part that was healed and protected from the Metatronic activations. They're going to have us do something, create a womb of creation within it, because this has to do with something that the covenant, I forget the name of it, I don't have it on this list, but it was on the first page. There's a covenant that has to do with people who are interested in assisting. There's a very big project coming in that has to do with the dream fields, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. There is a host of the Messiah that are going to birth in between, over the next 200 years. And they're asking us to, first of all, create the womb, because we have to anchor it. It needs to be anchored in the frequencies down here, to create the womb within the sphere of Amenti so that they can do that. And once that is done, there will be some of us that get moved to create the framework that they are going to need. There's going to be a lot that they are going to need because, well, can you imagine if they're like kids and you're going to put them in mainstream zoos called schools? Not really. Yeah, I mean, you could. There's some things that they've been mentioning to me a little bit lately about babies and infants and things, and about the development of neural networks and those kind of things, where certain types of environments will actually allow certain neural networks and to form, and others not to remain dormant. And sometimes the dormant ones can be woken back up in adulthood, but very often they can't, all of them. The Messiahs that are going to come in at a certain point are hoping that we would be able to create for them a community structure. It can be even small ones, but where we'd have maybe like charter schools or those kind of things where their needs could be attended to as well. They could learn the stuff of reading, writing, arithmetic, all that stuff, sure, computers, etc. And they'll probably be computer whizzes, by the way. The next generation of technos, oh boy, right? They'll be like, yeah, I just, my generation didn't get that coding. It's still like four-finger typing, But they have a big vision for this. Not everybody has to participate. It's just, if you feel love, it's it's something that we're being asked to co-create with the beloveds to host these children, because these children will, and their children's children will, there'll be enough where they have a couple generations. They will build a portion of the angelic human genetic code back up and activate it to the point where there will be enough of them when the time comes, when the gates are going to close here in 200 years, that the beloveds will be able to physically have them come off planet, which means the angelic human gene code will not go extinct. It will be able to come in physical form off the planet before the gates close. Now, some of us might make that trip too. And even if we make that trip, if we get our bodies to the point where we really can, get them out biologically, it's not going to change the fact that it takes more than like a little group of people like this, even if we all got out, to restart a race, a species, because that is what's occurring. Because right now there is so much damage to the angelic human gene code from crossbreeding with the Anunnaki and the Draconian races. And for people who don't know about this, a bit of that history is in Voyagers Volume 2, 2nd edition. It talks about the Leviathan races and how they were created. They look human too. And but they're not inside. Well, some of them are. Many of us are just mixed coding right now. But this is a resurrection of the full angelic human gene code that will be coming in progressively. The first level of the Messiahs that come in will be able to fix part of that coding and get it back to a more pure strain of angelic human. And then their children will be able to do the same and just get to the point where, because right now when we go through, even if we go through, we're going through as kind of like potluck. We're the melting pot, because we've got all sorts of codes in this version of human, and that's okay. That can go forth too. But to allow the original, literally the original DNA configuration of angelic human that none of us fully possess anymore. We have its potentials, but we have a lot of other stuff in with it too, which gives us abilities to help a lot of other races. But the beloveds would like to have the angelic human race not go extinct as a gene code, the Earth angelic human race. So they are asking us to assist in the process of bringing the Messiahs in so they can progressively bring the code back. And I imagine by the time there's 200 years from now, when the gates are going to close, you're going to have some very tall people walking around. Because I think they're at least 12 feet tall when they get, when the full code is activated, when the full angelic human code is activated. So we will see. But they are asking us to begin thinking about creating right within this Illuminati-based civilization that we're in, little bubbles of protection, little spaces that beings like that where they can have the protected environment around them. So those neural networks that they will need to bring in the highest levels of frequency will actually turn on in infancy when they're very small. And this goes back even to in the womb. Whatever a baby in the womb experiences, a lot of people don't realize it, but they hear it, they experience it. Whatever frequencies are blasting around it, like if you're like listening to heavy metal, you know, and you've got a baby in there, your baby's listening to heavy metal and the frequencies that go with it, right? So there's a lot of things that they will eventually be giving us, not just the spiritual teachings of the practical level spiritual teachings, like even if you don't want to learn about being a grid master and all that stuff, just, wow, this is like, you know, really special belief system here. You can really connect with God source and really find yourself and your higher self and your spirit. They're going to give us that, but they're going to give us more practicals. They've already told us about fetal integration. They've already told us about what happens when you die and how to do it and how not to do it. They've told us many, many things about just things that we face every day as beings living on a planet. Birth, death, conception. They're going to start teaching us more things about those things, like about children, about babies, about when people are older and if they are going to make the bardo transition. So there's a huge amount of practical teachings that are going to come, and they are going to, you know, they're asking us, those of us who care to help create these little pockets of higher civilization within the civilization that is here. And the Messiahs will come. Some people will have birthing contracts. Some of them are already starting. There's a few, last year or so, I think, or 2 years actually, there's been a number, maybe even 3. I get a feeling it's 3 years that the first wave is like trickling in, a little bit here, a little bit there. But there's going to be more, and that doesn't mean a lot of people in the group are going to get pregnant. It doesn't mean you have to. It doesn't mean you have the birthing contracts, right? I'm thinking, oh God, please no. No, I'm too old for that. But, so I don't think I have one of them. Yeah. No, I kind of made the deal with, well, you know, I'd go there on one condition. If it was the last seed left for the human race, then it's yours, okay? But please leave me out of that deal. Yeah. I love babies, don't get me wrong. I just love them. And, you know, had 4, and that was good, and it is good, and it's great that they're grown up now and have babies. And I like being grandma. So anyway, this is the larger picture of what they're showing us. And it begins with, this is the first time we have had the protection field, the 6-dimensional protection field. If things had gone well in 2000 and the planetary Maharic seal, the D12 seal went up, we would have had that protection. That didn't happen. We ended up in grid wars from September of 2000 onward. So we have worked very hard to get to this point where this protection actually is taking root in the grids. And it allows for the continuation of the next levels of the angelic human races being brought back to their gene code integrity, so that race does not go extinct. Because right now, a lot of the human race is going to go into a new humanity called the Metatronic humanity, where their DNA will be coded to the black hole fall systems. They won't know it. They'll have a good time going for a while. You know, it just seems the same, whatever, right? Until you realize you're living on a planet that's dying and everybody's killing each other, and survival of the fittest gets worse and worse and worse, because that is what happens in fall systems. It may take, many generations for that to occur. But anyway, we're not aiming for that part. We are aiming to bring not only ourselves out with the kind of like mutt codes that we have, where we have angelic human codes, and we got Aquarian indigo codes, and we got all sorts of codes, Anunnaki ones, we got draconian ones, we got reptilian codes. Humanity now is a mishmash of all of those different codes because of what happened in our history. And this is the history that certain forces on the planet, ever since the Atlantean period, which they tried to tell you didn't exist either, are trying to create a false history because they do not want it recognized. They do not want humans to know who and what they are, because we're being run around like little puppets, and we have been since the Atlantean period. So the history, there's a good dose of it in the Voyagers Volume 2 books, if you care to look for it. Look, there's a part about the Leviathan races and how they came into the Earth's incarnation, and also about, what do they call it, transposition of race identity that has occurred in the angelic human line to come up with this thing we call the Homo sapien sapien human. So anyway, that's in the Voyagers Volume 2 if you want to go that far and look at it. So we're going to be learning about these things, and then this implies, and this is probably why they had me bring the drum all the way from Florida. And I was thinking, well, we're not even going to do a drum circle, It's like, because, we can't go to a beach or anything. We can't exactly go to the biosphere and do a drum circle. They're not going to let us do that, right? I don't think they'd appreciate it. Not 300 people with drums or whatever. But this implies the call of call of the Aya. Aya was the top one, that field, right? The still sea of dreams.